Okay, maybe let's start. I see that most of the speakers are already connected. Sorry again for this last minute change with the link, but let's hope that it is the only technical problem that we have today. So thank you again for being here. I'm Ines Rosenstein. I'm a European project manager at the University of Montpellier. And for those who already know the project Torch, so University of Montpellier at this project is responsible for Work Package 5. That is a cooperation between university and private business and private sector. So we have worked already in 2021 on this work package. We have finalized 4 studies on different topics related to the cooperation with the private sector. And this cluster too has for objective just to discuss about the good practices of this cooperation and share between us these good practices and some tips and tricks how to improve even more this cooperation. We have prepared just a very small presentation that I will just share with you. So I don't see anybody anymore. So if you have any questions, just speak up. Just to mention that this session will be recorded. So if you don't want to be filmed, you can turn off your camera at any moment. Just the agenda of this session. So we have invited different speakers to present their good experience with the business and private sector cooperation. From universities that are partners at Charm EU Alliance, but also we would like to hear from other alliances as well. Afterwards, we would like to have a discussion with you, and you have received the 3 questions that we would like to talk about, and then we just have some conclusion remarks. So as I mentioned, that we have representatives from Charm EU Alliance, but also from EU-CONEXUS and Unite. So we will be happy to hear the experience from other alliances as well. So as we mentioned, the cluster 2 is basically a follow-up to Torch Work Package 5 that is strengthening cooperation between universities and enterprises. And this work package has for objective to connect universities to innovation ecosystems and to create an innovation community and to give partnership and transfer activities and new dynamics by propelling them to a European scale. So in the scope of this work package, we have written 4 studies, and 3 of them are already available on the Torch website, that is charmeu.org/torch. So these studies that are already published are one study on strategies and policies in place at all 5 universities. Another is on innovation detection, and the third one is on spin-up creation. And we are finalizing the 4th study that will be available soon as well on students' entrepreneurship. And so for this cluster, just to go beyond these studies and to create a discussion between us, so we would like to share success stories from the partner universities. And these success stories that include cooperation of researchers with different non-academic actors, creation of spin-offs or startups, and also different techniques to boost innovation and other activities. The objective is really to present the best examples and to demonstrate how they are contributing to sustainability in this post-pandemic world. And afterwards, we will have different discussion points. So those are the first remarks on our side. I'm now inviting Professor Benoît Bardy to present the beat health. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ines. Do you hear me?
Yes. So I stopped the sharing. Normally you should have, yeah, everything's great.
Okay, so this is not what I want to share, but that's okay.
We see the presentation at least.
You see the presentation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for the invitation. I'm a rookie in Charm EU. This is the first time I'm with you. And I have been asked by Inez and the team at University of Montpellier to present Bit Health. So I'm going to take a few minutes to walk you through what was a EU project at the beginning, and then over the years turned out to become closer to innovation and the creation of a startup that happened recently to exploit the technology for the benefits of patients and individuals in general. So from science to innovation, this is what I'm going to present today on this music movement synchronization story. I'm professor at University of Montpellier, and my center is called EuroMove, Digital Health in Motion. So it's a mix between movement science, neuroscience, cognitive science, health, clinical applications, and digital sciences, AI and data science in general. So very quickly, details, so health and wellness on the beat. So this is music movement synchronization. That is a topic of this presentation. I will show you the solution, the technology that we have developed. I will skip the video just because I want to stay in the 10 minutes. There is a 90-second video. You're going to see the address and the link in the video if you want to have a look at that a little bit later. I want to concentrate mostly on the process, on the history, from the project to the startup creation and how we went through that several years. So this is my only slide for science. Basically, this is about this link that you all know between the tempo of the music and the way you move in sync with the beat, right? So when you hear to your favorite tunes, you tend to move in sync with the music. I don't know if you practice physical activity, if you exercise in music, but you have this tendency to modify your walking or running patterns, for instance, to be in sync with your music. And when you do so, when you are in the right BPM, you have probably noticed how good you feel. And so the reason for that is because mostly there is a dedicated neural circuitry. I'm not going to go into the different structures in our brain, but basically when the tempo of the music kicks in the brain, then there are several aspects happening here, and then you can tap into the motor system through the auditory system. So just by listening to a specific BPM in your music, that emulates specific motor commands and that facilitates rhythmic movements. This is this audio neuromotor synchronization that we're exploring, to the point that even for patients suffering from Parkinson's disease, for which certain structures responsible for motor control have been damaged, you can bypass those structures through the music because it directly connects the auditory cortex to the motor command. So this is the explanation why when you listen to music, you are entrained by the pulsation, by the beat of the music, and you tend to move in sync with it. So that's important because music can be seen as an inexpensive medicine. Music can be used to put you back onto physical activity. So in order to combat inactivity, accelerate rehabilitation, and help you to re-enter, for instance, when you have stopped practicing physical activity, to re-enter the virtuous cycle of physical health and mental health. So this is what we have done in this EU project. We have developed a specific technology that I'm going to show you now, which is this one here. So basically you're walking, you have those inertial sensors connected to your body. They can be at your ankle, they can be at your arm. These are the little sensors that we're using. And basically what the technology is doing is that, first of all, it records your natural walking cadence. This is for walking. We have another one for running. And now we're developing one for riding, for cycling. This one is for walking. So you're walking, the system detects your cadence and then give you a specific song in the genre that you like at this particular tempo, at this particular BPM, right away. So it goes into your database of music. We have 600 music in the phone that we're distributing. And then it connects you to this music with this specific BPM. And then it sort of speeds you up a little bit through this entrainment process toward a cadence that is a little bit faster. This is for Parkinson patients because they tend to walk too slowly. And so we have to speed them up a little bit. And the way to do that is to increase the cadence of music. And then the system keeps you at this specific cadence. So basically, when you slow down, the music slows down with you. And when you speed up, the music speeds up with you, right? To maintain this music movement synchronization at all times. This is what the app is doing. And if you speed up too much, or if you're like too early, too much, then the app switch to another music. So there is an app with some different stuff in it. You can there is a little feedback. There is a virtual coach helping you to do the exercise. This is basically the music. So this is the video that I'm not going to show you. I can send you the link if you are interested. It's just a testimony of a patient walking and telling you exactly what she feels when she does the exercise. We've done several experiments and clinical trial, but I want to walk you in the next 4 minutes that I have through the history of the project. So first, we started with the EU project. It was the last call of FP7. It was on personal health. It was a small project, only 5 partners, a small budget. And what we did in the project was to develop the synchronization model. We developed the first prototype. We ran some experiments. We ran a phase 1 critical trial, and we disseminate, our work. Now, I want to insist on this phase here, because this is really what's important in the context of Cluster 2 today. So we took a few years with University of Montpellier and the tech transfer SAT Accélère company, so that's a tech transfer company, together with the Occitanie region, to do the business model for the technology, to evaluate our competitors. We submitted and published 1 patent on the technology. And then we spent quite a bit of time dealing with the IP with the other partners, because some of the EU partners did not want to contribute, to the exploitation, and others were keen at doing that. So this is mostly what we've done. And we have hired new engineers to develop version 2 of the app that is now called BitMove. It's more generic than Beta, it's like BitMove. We have started a phase 3 clinical trial with 400 patients, still in progress. He was interrupted by COVID, and we had some awards in local competitions here. Now, recently, we created the company. It's the same name of the EU project. It's called BitHealth. We are movement neuroscientists, computer scientists, and entrepreneurs. And for instance, the CEO of the company is a former PhD student from EuroMove. He moved to the other part of the building to create a startup. And then with another entrepreneurs, and ourselves as scientists, we created the other company. It's 10 person now. And I don't have the time to develop, but we are also deploying other rhythmic-based technology to evaluate, to improve, and to entrain, our rhythmic abilities. So this is what we offer today: a personalized and economic music-based technology for physical activity, rehabilitation, and to help re-entering the virtual cycle of moving in sync with music. Music is very pleasurable, it's fun, it's motivating, and so we're using music to help people to walk and run and do physical activity. And so we recently started this entrepreneurial adventure with the company. And to finish, I want to insist on these 5 key points here. So 1, why did we succeed at, over the years from the project, from the research project to the innovation, to create the company? We're already selling, the technology. 1 is because we are dealing with scientists that are open to innovation. That's not always the case, and it is not the case with all scientists in the center in EuroMove, but at least those that were involved in the project were keen at trying to deploy, the technology through a innovation step. Number two, Euromove, which is the place that I work in, is actually a sort of public-private partnership kind of center where we have scientists, but we also have entrepreneurs. We are not an incubator, but we are a site for incubations and companies that exploit, that want to use our technology. And so we welcome those companies in the center, Beatles being the latest one. Three, we were pushed by the results of the clinical trial because we had good results. So we decided with the patients, with the end users, to start deploying the technology. For University of Montpellier and SAT, this tech transfer company, was very helpful to help us because we were stuck in the science, and so they helped us to move forward to the exploration path. And five, I mean, I speak for myself, accepted me to be part of this company. So I am the scientific advisor of the company. I can spend part of my time in the company. And so it's part of my duties today to move Beetle further in terms of the commercial exploitation and more R&D within the university. That's it. And I'm going to stop here and thank you.
Thank you, Professor Bardy. This was a very interesting presentation. Of course, we know well this project. We have talked already between us about the project, and it really shows the importance of our technology transfer office, and also it shows this European dimension that is very important for us today. Maybe for the discussion part, there was one key element that you just mentioned, that was the scientist open to innovation activities. Maybe for the discussion part, we can discuss a little bit these key elements, what creates scientists that is open to innovation. So maybe that's something that we can keep in mind for the discussion. So thank you again for your presentation.
Pleasure.
And now now I would like to invite Dr. Anicet Blanch from University of Barcelona to present the Bluephage company.
Okay, thank you. Let me share my screen. Sorry. Can you look for?
If you need, we have your presentation as well. We can share it on our side.
I think you can see now. Is it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thanks for the invitation. I will try to introduce our contribution. We developed a spin-off we created 6 years ago, the Bluephage. Bluephage, it's the result of 35 years of research of our research group in looking for a viral indicator to promote a safer quality of our waters. As you probably know, this is the summary that I will try to explain you in a few minutes. Why we need a new indicator of water quality. What is this new indicator? Why has been selected coliphages? Who are they? Who are the coliphages? Why are they coming? These coliphages are coming in the new regulations and directives, and how we are analyzing coliphages, and where are the challenges that motivate our research group to develop new technologies to detect these coliphages in water, and how that is working. And then I will give very shortly some explanations on some of our development of the Bluephage approach. The humans are very successful producing safe water for the last century, for the last 100 years. So we cannot detect all the bacteria, all the viruses, all the diseases that are coming through the water, because there are hundreds. But we have been selecting indicators. So we selected one of these microbes that is representing the whole set of potential pathogens that are coming in water. And this has been very successful. Even we have still a request of millions of people in the world that they need to provide the quality of water that we have in the Western countries. We need to improve that quality of the water, even in the developed countries. Why? Because still we have breakouts of waterborne diseases when our waters are fulfilling completely the analysis of these indicators that we have been using. As I say, we have been using bacterial indicators mainly during the last century, and that is providing a very high quality of the waters. But still, we have some outbreaks. Why we have these outbreaks? We have these outbreaks because the viruses can go through the system that we are analyzing and that we are treating our waters, and they can produce these outbreaks. You know, viruses are smaller than bacteria. They are more abundant, more persistent in the environment, more resistant to the treatments, and they are multiplying. They replicate very fast, faster at least than bacteria. So even we have been very successful using the bacterial indicators for the water quality, we need to complement, we need to add some viral indicators in similar approach that we have been doing with the bacterial indicators. What virus we select as indicator? Well, bacteriophages have been selected. Bacteriophages are viruses that are infecting bacteria, so they are not a danger for the analyst in the laboratories who is analyzing the water samples. There are many different groups of bacteriophages, even in water and in food, but we have to select some of them. We used to classify these viruses, these bacteriophages, attending the host cell that they are infecting. You know, for instance, the coronaviruses that we are suffering now, it's infecting the human cells. So these bacteriophages are infecting bacterial cells, and we classify them attending the type of bacteria that they are infecting. Why we have been selecting bacterial viruses as indicator for human viruses? Because they are sharing similar composition, structure, morphology than the pathogens for humans and animals. There are also some characteristics that are making interest of these bacteriophages because they behave like animal and human viruses, attending how they are circulating through the filters, how they are how they present resistance to physical and chemical disinfections, or how they are persisting in the environment. So they are quite very good indicators telling us about the viruses, the human viruses that they could be in the water. It's very important that we know the proportion of these bacteriophages, and particularly this group of bacteriophages that we call coliphages, respect to the number of viruses that are infecting the human. So when we detect certain numbers of these bacteriophages, we can get models that are indicating about the risk that in these waters can be presented some of the human viruses. This is very important to make risk assessment in our waters. There are many groups of bacteriophages, but those that have been proposed as indicators are those that you have here in this screen. Somatic coliphages, F-specific, and other bacteriophages that we are not talking today about them. In the regulations, what we are using is mainly somatic coliphages, but sometimes we use also the F-specific. And globally, we told them about coliphages. Here, I can share this presentation with you, have more details about the differences between these groups, but I will skip that information today. Let's move to what has been happening. So because we already defined that those bacteriophages that we call coliphages are really useful as viral indicators, progressively in this millennium, when we start the millennium, all the different countries and also the international institutions were introducing this new parameter in the different matrices of water that we have regulations. It's very interesting that in the European Union in 2020, a new drinking water directive was introduced, and they are including the coliphages, the detection of coliphages. Also in the regulations for reuse of water in Europe, it's also compulsory now to analyze this parameter. If this new parameter, the coliphages, is going in regulations and directives, means that we already have some specific methods to analyze them. Yes, we have it. In the last 20 years have been developed these ISO methods, standardized methods to be applied, and we can see in the present regulations that particularly these two ISO methods are requested for the analyst, requested for the water utilities to be performed for demonstrate the quality of the water. Are complicated those standard methods? No, they are multi-step process that the analyst can perform at the laboratory. And what we are basically doing, very shortly I will explain you, we are detecting how a virus is going into a cell. When one virus is going inside the cell, it's multiplying very fast, producing hundreds of thousands of new viruses, breaks the cell, and those new viruses are infecting the surrounding cells. So if we put in a petri dish overlay of cells, a carpet of cells very concentrated, and we dispose our sample over this plate, If there is a virus, this virus will infect the one cell, multiplies, infect the surrounding cells, and what we can see is what you see at the left side of this slide, that it makes a hole in what we call plaque. It makes a hole. That means that the viruses here have been killing all the cells. So we measure the lysis of the cells, the break of the cells. This is not complicated to perform that ISO methods, but it's a multi-step process. You have to prepare the media. There's many operations in advance. You have to prepare and calibrate control media, reference materials, and so on. But also, we get the results overnight, at least 16 hours after we start the analysis. So looks like everything goes fine, but if we have to make decisions to avoid the risk because our water is contaminated, we need to provide solutions in a working day, faster than in 24 hours or at least overnight. More information about coliphages, how these ISO methods are working, more details, more educational details, you can find it because our research group was producing all this material, and it's open. There is an open access in the University of Barcelona TV and also in this website. So what was the challenge for the research group? Well, we tried to look for a procedure easier than the ISO methods, simple, very, very cheap, very practical, that anybody can apply in the laboratory. And what we did? Well, because we are detecting how the virus is breaking the cells, let's to modify this host cell that the virus it's breaking. And what we did is to change one of these bacteria that the bacteriophages are using, to change it in this way. I will skip today also the molecular modifications that we did, but basically what we did is this bacterial cell that could be infected by the viruses, we make that cell produce a lot of enzymes inside the cell. The enzyme cannot leave the cells. But also we modify the membrane of the cell in a way that the substrate that is used as a nutrient for the cell cannot go inside. So the nutrient that this enzyme is hydrolyzing, it's using, cannot get in contact with the cell. So when we have this bacteria in our media, the substrate that we are using, it's a chromogen substrate, it's the color yellow. When one virus is infecting the cell, multiplies, breaks the cell, and release the enzyme at the media that we have the cells. The enzyme then it's finding the substrate, breaks the substrate, and because it's a chromogenic substrate, it changes the color and makes a blue change of a blue color. So because the blue and the yellow get mixed, we get a blue-green color in our reaction. So it's quite simple. Just one virus, it's sufficient to make a change of the color. Here in the left side, you see the results in the laboratory. What we did in the research group is to evaluate if this reaction can be applied in higher volumes, in volumes of 50, 100, 200 milliliters, and also if we can use it in a miniaturized system in order to quantify how viruses are in our sample, because we are slicing the size of the sample in different portions. Obviously, everything was working here for the research group, but and you have a more detailed information in those publications that we did, and you can find exactly all our scientific bases. But when we try to transfer all this knowledge to the market, it's quite complicated for the research group. And that time was in 2016. We decided to create a spin-off. The spin-off is Participate for University of Barcelona, of course, and we put the name of the technique that we developed in our research group, Bluephage, because the change of the color that we were producing. What we did? Well, the first that the Bluephage was doing is to try to transport the knowledge that we developed in our research group to the market in an easy way. Here you have the parameters that we are obtaining if we are applying the ISO methods, and the last column here, you see the advantages of our kit that we developed with the technology that I explained you. So 0 time to prepare materials, very shortly to start the test, and you have the results in the working day, in 6 hours. All the approach that you need is these 2 bottles. A small bottle, in the cap of the bottle, it's the lyophilized bacteria that we modified. This is a PBS suspension, and another bottle, it's an empty bottle, that in the cap of this bottle, it's the hydrated medium that it's containing, it's provided with the substrate, the chromogenic substrate. How it works? Very simple. You take your water sample and you pre-warm at 36 degrees. You resuspend the lyophilized bacteria that is here in this cup. You twist this cup, the bacteria lyophilized fall down and get resuspended. Then it's quite simple. You take the other bottle, put your sample here, 100 milliliters of your sample, and then you pour your bacteria, resuspended lyophilized bacteria there also in the bottle. You close the bottle and you press the top of this cap and the media falls down, and the same water sample, it's providing you the resuspension of the media. You go for incubation, and then with incubation, after 6 hours, if the media still keeps the yellow color, there is no virus in the sample, but if it turns at this green, blue color, you get virus in your sample. It's quite simple. Anybody can do it, and it's very safe, very safe for the analyst. We are now developing this method for a quantification based in the miniaturization approach, and also with that digitalization that I cannot give more details because I'm under confidentiality. Why we created the spin-off? Well, because all the transfer at the industrial level, we need to do it outside the university. There is a very good expectations, and you can see for the growing market in water analysis, mainly driven by regulations. As I explained before, you see the expectations are very, 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 very promising, and also in the different types of water. How has been working the company? The company has been working that way. So the specific keys that has been, I think, are necessary for a success in the creation of a spin-off. It's good experience from the research group, new knowledge, to protect this knowledge in a patent, to get then some support from seed capital in university or in the surroundings of your university. And then I think also it's very important to get competitive public financing. We got 2 seals of experience of excellence, for the Commission, European Commission, but unfortunately there is not so much really budget for that kind of calls when you try to transfer all your knowledge at the society. So we are very well classified because the budget was over, and we cannot for 2 times to get that funding from the Commission. The company right now has been doing 3 investment rounds. Here you have the staff, very balanced in terms of genera, and also 3 professors at the University of Barcelona are still working with them. If you like more information or more details about how the company is progressing and to get the products that they are commercializing, you have here the additional information. Obviously, I will thank a lot of people because that was generated because of many PhD students, many professors at the university. And for more information, please don't hesitate to contact with us. Thanks.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It's definitely a very interesting and important project, and this possibility to create a spin-off and make these kind of research results available to public and being possible to be used is really crucial for our work. So thank you again for this presentation, and now I would like to invite a representative from another European university, EU-CONEXUS, so Associate Professor Rasa Viederyte, who will present innovation roadmap for accessing communities, and also will do a presentation of Bionstar, and then her home university is University of Klaipeda. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Inessa. That was really great to hear those nice examples coming from Bardy and Blanch, and that is really inspiring. Let me now shortly present our EU-CONEXUS Alliance and some of these initiatives. And I will go directly to the topic, which is related to EU-CONEXUS. First of all, let me say a few words on EU-CONEXUS, which is European University for the Smart Urban Coastal Sustainability. And this EU-CONEXUS consists of 9 alliance universities, La Rochelle University in France, Catholic University of Valencia in Spain, University of Zadar, Croatia, Technical University of Civil Engineering of Bucharest, Romania, Agricultural University of Athens in Greece, Klaipeda University in Lithuania, also Waterford Institute of Technology in Ireland, and the University of Rostock in Germany, and Frederiks University in Cyprus. If you can see the map, each campus of EU-CONEXUS is located in the heart of the coastal territory that is particularly rich in terms of addressing smart urban coastal sustainability issues due to the diversity of environments it hosts with varied biophysical contexts and gradients in the littoral and urban spaces. So, and what we do think and how do we position ourselves regards business, society, and academia, academic cooperation. We have really strategic point of view to the close university industry cooperation trend. We are positioning as a European hub of expertise in smart urban coastal development. We also focus to the research and development infrastructure and services that is a gateway to joint research and development and technology transfer services and projects. Also, we are calling our community to take part in this inclusion of industry patterns through design of programs, teaching and practice to create talents. For sure, there is a strong focus to the alumni network, which is a pool of contacts for internship, for jobs, for mentoring. Also, there is a call for networking, mainly based on the international network of companies, industries, research institutes, chambers of commerce, various types of organizations related to the businesses. And also, we are settling the holistic approach to sustainable regional economic development and support of public policies. First steps, they are done. Let's say regards national strategies, regards building innovation ecosystems for cooperation between academia and EU and in the business. So in a level of national regulation, let's say we have already policies, technology transfer officers, intellectual property regulation, as well as support mechanisms for protecting and licensing, open access for infrastructure resources, regional schemes for knowledge transfer. Yes, what could be the next steps? What is strategically important in EU-CONEXUS level, in alliance level? And there is a call to work towards the interorganizational knowledge transfer structures for efficient cooperation and cooperation within EU-CONEXUS. There is a call for the integrated knowledge transfer model that includes all disciplines equally contributing to the growth of innovation ecosystems. Also, there is important to overview on policies relating to national knowledge transfer and innovation systems that allow to establish transnational and cross-border links. Also, intellectual property management policy has to be settled, which has to include background, foreground, sideground, and postground intellectual property asset management principles, as well as ethical standards. They have to be settled for bringing credibility and fostering trust based on the work of the research integrity. As smart urban coastal sustainability, we are focusing on the ports and cities. Taking into the account cities-related issues regards cooperation between the businesses and academia, we are calling opening science for society, which is included within several elements important for us as a strategic line. We are calling to increase citizenship and involve into the academia related issues. Also developing practices for society inclusiveness, creating society's knowledge on research results, as well as enabling co-creation for development, reuse of knowledge, and making it more reliable, effective, and reasonable, and creating EU-CONEXUS open science platform in order to cooperate and have the space to work together. In regards to ports, we see here the ports and port-related industries. And here we are about to engage innovation system within the ports, propose the expertise services to stakeholders, work on the science commercialization, with the knowledge transfer, and establishing and having such a platform as an innovation hub where it's possible to advertise innovative solutions. Now let me present really very brilliant example, which is coming from Klaipeda University, InnoBioStar. InnoBioStar was established in 2020 as a spin-off company of Klaipeda University, Lithuania, by founder Professor Tatiana Paulauskienė. Currently, together with the Klaipeda University, they are developing environmentally friendly solutions for marine oil spills cleanup. On 2021 year was quite busy for InnoBioStar team. They were participating in TechHub Pre-Accelerator program, which was supported by Agency for Science, Innovation and Technology, and their idea was recognized as top 5 best ideas. Then they also participated in Baltics and Slovakia Accelerator program for climate positive startups supported by Climate KIC. Well, machines, they're burning fuels, they have leakages and cause small or big disasters. So to collect fuel waste, modern industry mainly uses chemicals. They make fuel waste heavier, it sinks to the seabed, but does not solve the problem entirely. And the company, the spin-off InnoBioStar, found a solution. So let me introduce the deep tech innovation. The first deep tech innovation is InnoAerogel. It's a waste paper-based material, highly efficient, biodegradable, and reusable. It absorbs only fuel, but not water. It locks it inside and does not allow to make spill again. If we have a look into company growth scale, the idea was generated in April of 2020. EU patent was filed in September of 2020. Then working on Aerogel prototype, which was ready in September of last year. Then InnoBiotech Baltia research and development project was granted in April. Currently, the works are related to product launch, which is planned in October of this year, along with the intellectual property licensing, and on 2023, sales and marketing is estimated to be ready for entering to the market. InnoBiotech Baltia is a joint project of Klaipeda University and InnoBioStar, supported by National Agency for Science, Innovation and Technology. In this project, a research team is using oil-eating microorganisms for oil spills cleanup. It was found that some microorganisms use oil as a food, and the team has only to create the best conditions for them to fight with oil spills. So in university labs, team is combining those microorganisms with natural support materials like straw and sawdust, as well as simulating different application scenarios. And what is great about those microorganisms, they are naturally existing in the Baltic Sea environment, meaning that this technology will not make secondary pollution, which is also very important to notice. So the technology is being patented in the European Patent Office. Team is also ready with new applications to get support for the idea development. One of them is the EU support women leading deaf startups in Europe, and join the European Innovation Council and the European Institute of Innovation and Technology with thematical area climate race to the net zero. What are the end users of this particular innovation? End users for such a technology are manufacturing industries, as well as shipping industries, car repair utilities, and also shipbuilding and ship repair industry. Thank you very much. And I think I used my time completely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your presentation, and it's really for me personally, it's very important to hear from other alliances what you have been doing in this topic, and we see that our long-term objectives are very similar. So this is just the first contact, and I'm hoping to be able to discuss with you in the future some kind of sharing of experience on these topics, and also, thank you for the presentation of InnoBioStar. And I saw that the idea of this project was created at the beginning of sanitary crisis. So maybe during the discussion, it would be interesting and important for us to see what was your experience during this period and what are the good things that comes out of this situation. So thank you again for your presentation. And as the next presenter, I would like to introduce Dr. Zoltán Urbányi from Gaudian Richter. Sorry. So this is a presentation from the company that is partners with ELTE University. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I try to share my presentation. This one. Do you see it?
Not yet, but hoping that for now it's just a black screen.
Something occurring.
If it doesn't work, we can share on our side because you shared with us the presentation this morning.
I think if you don't see my presentation, please share my slides because I don't know the reason why it is unsuccessful.
So do you see the presentation now? Yeah.
Yes, I don't know what I see. Sorry. I switch off my camera. I think there is some discrepancy between my two computers.
That's a possibility. At least from our side, we see the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much.
And just let me know when you need to change slides. I will deal with that.
Okay, thank you.
We don't see you anymore. It's just a black screen on your side.
I lost between my windows.
Well, just don't worry.
So let's start with the first slide. If you see it, it's okay, and you can hear me.
Yes.
And I can see my slides on my computer. So thank you very much for inviting me. I was invited to speak briefly about the collaboration between the Eötvös University Budapest and Gedeon Richter pharmaceutical company. We have a long collaboration with the Eötvös University. Personally, I was trained at the Eötvös University as a chemist. And on the second slide, I would like to share some basic information about our company. So Gedeon Richter Pharmaceutical Company is a mid-pharma company. The headquarters is in Budapest. This is a more than 150 years old company, so we have a long tradition. The company was established by Gedeon Richter, who was a pharmacist and started to deal with organ extracts. Then sales of Richter in 2020 were more than 1.6 billion euro. We are on the market on 5 continents with 200 products. This is a mid-pharma company with more than 12,000 employees globally. In R&D, we have 1,200 employees, scientists and technicians as well, and the 10% of the turnover spent to the R&D. The next slide, the third slide, we have 5 strategic pillars. The first one is the biggest one, is the women's healthcare. And the second one, cariprazine, covers not only the cariprazine, which is our original drug marketed in Europe and in the US and worldwide in the last years for schizophrenia and bipolar mania and major depression, but it covers all our original CNS drugs research targeted at neuropsychiatric drug development. We also market generic products, and our traditional portfolio, some of them was developed by Gedeon Richter more than 100 years ago. And the newest field is the biosimilar development. We are on the market with 2 different biosimilar drugs already, the teriparatide and the foritropin biosimilar. And in our portfolio, there are the development of biosimilar monoclonal antibodies in different phases. As I mentioned, the headquarters of Richter is in Budapest, Hungary, but we have different commercial representatives and filials in Europe and in US, in South America, Australia, Asia. We have manufacturing plants in Poland, Romania, Russia, Ukraine, Germany. There are 4 major fields in the ELTE-Richter collaboration. We have some common projects. Our main common projects will be introduced on the next slides. We have common research and development grants, financed or supported by Hungary government or EU. We collaborate with the ELTE in the collaborations where the university works as a contract research organization, where university is often a service provider, for example, to develop analytical methods and performs particular research tasks. And finally, we are involved in the education programs of the Barcelona University with our experienced scientists. The common research project is the development of a EC2FC fusion protein for the treatment of COVID-19 disease. This project was initiated by the ELTE immunology department 2 years ago at the start of the pandemic, and the project is supported by the Hungarian Ministry of the Innovation and Technology. 2 years ago, we established a consortium to perform this research, and in this consortium, the leader is Utrecht University, and Gedeon Richter, the University of Pécs, and the Immunogens Ltd. are working in this project. University of Pécs has a BSL-4 viral laboratory. They can perform the virus tests, so they are involved in the collaboration. And Gedeon Richter has a good experience to develop and manufacture therapeutic proteins. So this part of the program is So the idea is that if we develop a protein which consists of the EC2 protein, which is the entry point of the SARS-CoV-2 virus into the cells, and it is fused to the Fc part of the IgG molecules, it will be a soluble EC2 form with long lifetime in the body, and this fusion protein can neutralize the SARS-CoV-2 viruses, and it can treat or prevent the COVID-19 disease. So the development is ongoing, and the project is in the preclinical phase at the moment. Some word about the education collaboration. There is a special biotechnology MSc program with the participation of the Ötvös University and the Technical and Economical University of Budapest and Richter Gedeon. This collaboration aims highly educated and experienced young talented people who can immediately enter to the industry. So we want to find and train talents directly to biopharmaceutical industry by this collaboration. And this collaboration is unique not only in Hungary, but I think in the region as well. And additionally, Richter, as I mentioned, Richter Sciences can actively support the education at the Ötvös University. Our colleagues are involved in the previously mentioned biotechnology MSc program. We have a course in the MSc training in chemistry, especially in the analytics of biologicals. In some courses, we take lectures as invited lecturers, and also students from the Ötvös University may come to Richter for summer internships and to prepare theses as well. So very briefly, these are the main fields of the collaboration between the Ötvös University and Richter. And as you could see, we have a lot of different connections, and that this is a very active and living collaboration. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you for sharing with us this presentation and being here with us as a representative of a company that is collaborating with the university. And we see that this type of cooperation is not only an added value for university or for company, but it is indispensable, especially in this topic of COVID and the research that you were together bringing during the past 2 years. So thank you very much for your presentation. And so as next speakers, we'd like to invite representatives from another alliance, Unite, and two speakers here, Associate Professor Josep Bordonau and Professor Juan-Jesús Pérez. They are representing Polytechnic University of Catalonia. So welcome, and we would like to hear a little bit more about this open innovation community integrating different stakeholders from the Unite side. So the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks a lot for your introduction, Ines. Good afternoon to everybody. Happy to be here with you, sharing what we're doing. I see for some reason the sharing preferences in my computer are opening in such a way that I'm not sure if I can do it. So really, Ines, if you're so nice to share the presentation for me, I will appreciate it, because now.
One second, I will just open it up.
Yeah, or let me just double check if I can share right now, because not really. I have to open system preferences and it's not evident what I have to choose. That's it.
I hope that the link was the only technical issue, but we see that is not the case. But anyways, thank you for sharing with us in advance these presentations so that we can share them. So normally you should see the presentation.
Exactly, we see it. Thanks a lot. I confirm. So I will tell you when I need to pass the slides. As you see, the title of the contribution is about how in Unite, in this European University Alliance, I will show the members of the Alliance at the end, is creating the open innovation community and integrating different stakeholders for making a deeper collaboration, stronger collaboration of academia, business, and other actors. That's important. Can you go to the next one, please? Yes, the content of the presentation is essentially to see the purpose of what we're doing, the initial work, how we have identified the stakeholders, and the actions, the main actions we have already achieved in the 2 years of the program. Can you go to the next one, please? Thank you. The purpose is double. Here we show the two elements of the purpose. First, the main one is the creation of an open innovation community within the 7 ecosystems of the 7 universities of Unite. And secondly, to develop regional innovation strategies to share our agendas with the main actors in the regions, and specifically with public institutions and companies, and in these 3 main areas of collaboration, developing some smart specialization strategies, so focusing on some strategies at the end, all of them related with technology, because the 7 universities are working in technology, coupling this with the needs of training in the different regions using lifelong learning, and finally, as a transversal level, considering ethics in sustainable engineering. This is a minor contribution, but also important. Thank you, Ines, for your work. Now we're showing the initial work that was like a kind of the preparation of a white book about what we were doing in our 7 universities in the 2 fields of innovation and entrepreneurship. This has been done with an internal analysis where we have identified the different initiatives we have in the 7 universities that can be replicated in others, or that can be extended in the other universities or beyond the scope of Unite, or eventually that can be directly shared. With all this information, we have already run external analysis, identifying who are the stakeholders we can address in a more effective way, which are the inspirational experiences that we can take into account as successful stories for using in the development of the Alliance, identifying opportunities or prioritizing opportunities, let's say it this way, and identifying barriers to see how we can overcome these difficulties. Let's go to the next one, please. Thank you. In 2 slides for talking a little bit how we identify the stakeholders, because we're ambitious in creating this community. Okay. In this first slide, we show this well-known for everybody that has run in any moment some professional stakeholder analysis. And here we have 2 axes describing the different stakeholders, the different actors we can consider, depending on the amount of power they may have in the operation of the Alliance, and the amount of interest they may have in the operation of the Alliance. So then we rank the different stakeholders in this map, and then we manage the different stakeholders according to it. No? So we have 4 different categories, 4 different ways to approach the stakeholders. If we go to the next one, Ines, please. Thank you. Here I summarize, we summarize the results. So here we have identified more than 450 stakeholders in the 7 universities. And the categories we have considered, as you can see, it's not only companies. Of course, companies are there, but not only companies. We have identified associations, community and co-working institutions, higher education institutions, so and research institutes and research centers, incubators, business innovation centers, accelerators, and science parks as the typical actor for making feasible that the ideas of our startups, of our entrepreneurs creating startups or spin-offs can be made a reality. Investors, very important, because at the end we need the investment muscle to make everything a reality. Public institutions to co-build the agenda, as I was telling. Trade unions, essentially to keep them informed and happy. And it's a typical stakeholder that we have to keep them happy and to get ideas from them. Something similar for non-profit organizations that sometimes can contribute thematically in some other moments, and they can contribute in facilitating the upcoming of new stakeholders or new contexts. For instance, we have an environmental institute in Stockholm, which is a non-profit organization and is very active in everything related with green technologies and etc. Of course, companies, that's evident. And not only companies, but also industry associations, since usually that's a very good way to involve SMEs. Small and medium enterprises are very important, and usually they don't have the muscle, they don't have the capacity to participate in these initiatives. And if we involve the industry associations, this is a very effective way to involve them. And we have industry associations that work in vertical, so aligned with a certain specialization or a certain sector, and some others that are horizontal. So this means that they are geographically connected, for instance. Okay. Next one, please. Yes, here this is a summary of the actions, and that's essentially the closing of, almost the closing of the speech. Some actions here with some pictures. And first, we have a picture of the 4th Unite Dialogue in Barcelona in last year, at the end of the year. This was very important because we have seen that in this COVID situation, we can work very well in video conference as we're doing now. But of course, we have a significant boost in the activities, in the confidence, in the way of working with everybody when we organize a face-to-face event. And definitely this matchmaking event with the different stakeholders was very important. Another action, practical, is that one of our stakeholders, the Collider, in this case in Barcelona, was having until reaching us a strategy for developing startups in Spain and Portugal, and because of Unite, they are opening the strategy to all Europe. So this is a success story about how we can mutually collaborate for our mutual benefit. I also show a picture of the Unite booth in Darmstadt in Germany last May, where it was a joint booth showing the different models of innovation in the 7 partner universities. And something that I'm not showing here because it is confidential, but we also have some, because of Unite, we have made feasible the collaboration of a startup in Germany with a big company in Barcelona. And they are now in conversations and so, but this has been possible because it's a pragmatical, it's a sample of how this stakeholder map can convert into something feasible and real and tangible. Okay. If we can show next one, I think is the one appreciating your attention. Thank you. But if you go to the next one, Ines, please. It's simply to visualize exactly the members of the Unite Alliance. As you see, 7 technical universities in Germany, Darmstadt, in Finland, Aalto, in France, Université Grenoble Alpes, in Sweden, KTH, in Italy, Politecnico di Torino, in Lisbon, Universidad de Lisboa, and in Spain, BarcelonaTech in Barcelona. So that's all. Thank you. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much for your presentation. So again, we cannot express our thanks to joining us at our forum and to share the experience of other alliances on these topics. And as I mentioned already, after the presentation of EU-CONEXUS, this is definitely just the first contact, and we hope to work with you and share experiences in the future. So unfortunately, we have a little bit run out of time due to the fact that we started 15 minutes later. But the next session starts in 35 minutes. So if you still have 10 more minutes to spare for some questions, it would be very nice just to go with around the table and do some questions. So I will just put on the screen the 3 questions that we prepared. So I'm sharing them, the 3 questions. So we wanted to first of all discuss about these best case good experiences that you shared with us, and even if it was a good experience, how it would be possible to go even beyond and improve even more the cooperation between academia and business society. The second point of discussions we wanted to raise would be what are the positive elements of the sanitary crisis, how the sanitary crisis impacted this cooperation. And in this morning's part of the forum, we already heard some examples on some positive examples of this situation. And also we wanted to know how to go beyond the national borders. We see that some of you have already international corporations, European corporations, etc., and how just for a researcher from a university, what you advise to do in order to create, for example, a spin-off that has European or even international impact. So as we don't have much time, maybe I would like to propose that each of the presenters just respond to one of these questions or share their thoughts about one of these questions, and then we can also open floor for other questions if there are some. So maybe let's start with the first presenter that we had, and Professor Bardy. So what would be the last thing that you would like to share with everybody on this cluster?
30 minutes is not going to be enough, Ines. No, because those are very important questions. I think across the presentation, I was very happy to see lots of similarities, between our path and the way we are doing what we're doing today. So very quickly for question 1, facilitation, right? So scientists, faculty, as you all know, are doing like 5 or 6 different jobs in terms of the admin, the teaching, the science. They're spending most of their time writing, proposals for calls, and so everything that can facilitate their life. We are, as scientists, very often, not always, but very often, we have fear. We have fear. Innovation. What is it like? The time scale of an entrepreneur is not the same time scale of a scientist. The time for science and the time for exploitation are completely different. So how do you reconcile, those different times? Everything that can facilitate, from the business angel to the tech transfer people, as we've done together in Montpellier, like facilitating the daily schedule of teachers and scientists, to spare time to inject in the company, having people sharing the same space and the same time. We've done that in Euromove. So Euromove is a place where we both have scientists and entrepreneurs. So we're trying to bridge this gap to share the same culture and learn how to live together. This is absolutely not easy. So facilitation, I think, is absolutely key. And for the third, I'm going to skip the second question. We created the company during the lockdown, so we had time to think and proceed toward the creation of Beatles. For the third question, I think EU instruments are absolutely wonderful for that. Absolutely wonderful. You look at EIC, the Pathfinder, you look at EIC Accelerator, all these calls are exactly, I think, good answers to the question, that you're asking. You can have a company located in France and the scientists located in Spain, right? And so you can have the examples that were given are wonderful examples that can reply, that can answer, that can submit together a proposal for a EU code. So EIC is a wonderful idea. The different CSA and RIA from the different codes at Europe are the way, I think, to really strengthen the cooperation between business and science. So I would vote for the EU model to push that further. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Maybe just coming back to the question that I had after your presentation. So that you mentioned that one of the key elements of creating a good cooperation or spin-off would be the fact that scientist is open to innovation activities, and it's not always the case, but in your case it was the case. So maybe what were those elements that created this openness?
Well, I think, I mean, I was born in EU project, 20-something years ago, and this is kind of mostly what I do. And I love this EU context and because it mixed not only the cultures, but also the cultures. So you put together scientists and innovators and big companies and small startups together. That create, that people bond together, and that create, confidence to do things together and to learn about others. So I really see, at least in the history of my centers, the places where I've been working, the difference between those on EU project being in like rich atmospheres in terms of who are in this project and others. I think when you are in a consortium where you share those different cultures and these different time scale, between the entrepreneur and the science, it really creates, and you learn about incentives, for scientists is important. Maybe remove like 10% of their teaching activities if they are engaged in a common process with like doing a little work for a company that is direct consequences for the science that they do. So all kinds of possibilities. Opening scientists to innovation, I think, is welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And it will be definitely for you interesting to read again about what we have found, because the first point that you mentioned, exactly those are the recommendations that we are giving in our report. So we will be happy to share with you again the report later on. So maybe let's move on to Dr. Blanch, and do you have any comments on one of these questions or anything else that you would like to add?
Yes, well, I will compliment my colleague now that I think the EIC accelerator is a good instrument, but it's quite limited in budget if we attend the distribution of budget in the European framework. Why? Because our expertise is that we spend a lot of time. We get very well scored in these calls, but there is no budget. So we always finish at the limit of that budget. But because we have, as a research group, we have been also participating in the European projects, we get much amount of financing, much amount of money going to the general calls for science than those limited budget that is provided for innovation. So to improve at the European level, the transfer, the innovation, you need to put budget. Otherwise, it is not sense. And I think we have good science in Europe. So we have good solutions. Breaking edge science, it's needed for the solutions that our societies are requesting. But there is a paradox. For instance, in the 40 years, Rory and colleagues from University of Oxford, they developed the purification of penicillin. But they were not able to develop the industrialization of this knowledge in Europe, and they moved to the United States. Pfizer and the federal government provide the support to scale up this process. Similarly, now with the COVID infection, again, a Romanian scientist developed the technology, provide breaking edge science, but the breaking edge science finally has been moving also for development in the United States. And this is a essential weakness that we have in our science model in Europe. And when you try to develop your model of transfer from your knowledge, from your research that you've been doing in university, you always are fighting that kind of of limitations in Europe. So this is something that we have to work all together, how to avoid that the good science is running away when it goes to the market from Europe. And this is something that we have all together to think. I think that, as you already say, some of my colleagues say, the ecosystem of innovation is essential. And the stronger is this system, the better the university is providing the transfer of this knowledge. Seed capital from the universities, from the surrounding of the university, it's essential to transfer the new knowledge from the research groups to the society, but also the public financing, as we say, this kind of calls from the European Commission. I think those are essential. What we get from these 2 years of COVID limitations, one is to try to improve our imagination, to use the remote tools that we have been using, the virtual tools, to get in contact. So we explore new approaches, we develop new marketing strategies to transfer our technology. And that was quite good because we were in contact with many people from, not just from you, all around the world. And because everybody was very open to accept that kind of tools. This is something very, very interesting. Limitations, obviously we had limitations. For instance, when we were scaling up our research, we have limitations with providers. Some materials, plastic materials, were very limited, the access to them because of the general conditions that we have with all the providers all around the world. This is something that was limiting us. So this is my very shortly my point of view.
Thank you. Very, very precise and straight to the point and very important remarks. Thank you so much.
Excuse me, excuse me, Ines. I forget something that is very important. The legislative framework for Europe is not always supporting the transference of technology. For instance, the GMO. So the GMO, the genetic modified organisms, the regulation for that, it's limiting the biotechnology in Europe. And we need to provide educational insights to our leaders in politicals and social organizations to avoid that kind of limitations. So the kind of legislation that we are producing makes that some companies, when they achieve certain level, they run away also from Europe. And we have to think also about that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I think that unfortunately, Dr. URBÁNYI from Gedeon Richter had to leave the meeting. So now I would like to give the floor to two representatives of other alliances. So maybe let's start with the EU-CONEXUS. Please, Rasa.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I do really absolutely agree with what just colleagues said. It's really extremely important. Let me just say a few notes on each question. So what could be how to go beyond and how to improve these things? I have here, let's say, 4 elements to mention. First of all, we all were presenting joint research and development projects. So there is an issue for the further cooperation to promote, to have ability to work on the joint research and experimental development project. The second one would be cooperate in open access centers, because there is the capacity of resources for the research that institutions are able to use, not only for the staff, but also for the students, for the trainees, and for the stakeholders, so that's important. The third one is to strengthen technology transfer centers, as it was absolutely important message stated that the legislative basis still, unfortunately, doesn't allow in some kind of ways to work properly, but there is one-stop shop, as we also like to call these technology transfer centers. They could be a core centers for managing knowledge transfer. And the fourth one would be the continuous communication and valorization of research-related services, products. So sharing good practices, ensure visibility of open science, more inclusive participation in research and development activities, communication, valorization of applied research results. It's really essential to be visible in this community. Now, if you allow me to say a few words on the positive impact of COVID-related issue. Sure, there were a lot of solid side effects, but if we now go into the positive elements, yes, the use of remote tools helped us to work much. Let's also notice this point, that actually digital means they made work in remote mode as a new normal. And actually we are already having this part of work with the digital means. So filling applications, reviewing and identifying state of the art, what capacities and what resources our organizations for knowledge transfer they are having, what is our alliance level. Also, it helped to build teams of experts, starting to network on cooperation-based knowledge. Also, helped to build capacity in the field of knowledge transfer, helped to network of common activities regards developing strategies, roadmaps. We also had pretty solid list of online events for matchmaking, for strengthening cooperation. Let me say more, we also had physical events for strengthening cooperation with ports, with cities, networking and knowing each other. That was really very important. And going shortly into the third question, how to go beyond the national borders and create this common close collaboration. I would like to answer as an economist. I see that one thing is building capacity in the field of internal resources in an alliance level. So I here mean people, systems, structure and regulations, tools and motivation. It has to be strengthened, it has to be agreed, it has to work as a system. At the same time, entering new markets. I mean, establishing and enhancing cooperation between academia and business in EU level. And in majority of cases, there is a need to identify demand for the areas of such cooperation, opening borders on academia, or even creating demand on the fields where academia leads and could support business growth. So let's say mutual willingness, motivation, as well as legal regulatory environment together with the knowledge and skills. So strategy has to be ready, system has to work, flexibility instead of hard bureaucracy. Also motivation has to be appropriate, and tools as well as resources have to be accessible.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Definitely, we are sharing the same points and same ideas here as well. So maybe at the last but not the least, the representative of Unite.
Yes, thank you, Ines. Thanks a lot. From my side, I choose also question number 1. I think I have already addressed the second and the third in the presentation. So I essentially fully agree with all of you. You made very good comments, plenty of common sense. Let me add on number 1 that I think that we have successful stories, exactly, about what we're doing. So we should use first the snowball effect in such a way that we can create bigger and bigger awareness about what we're doing, and this is creating bigger and bigger activity in what we're doing. So this means that I think that we should use a kind of communication strategy, joint communication strategy, probably led by the European Commission. And perhaps we could use indicators, something like as the total addressable market that can be estimated from all the ideas that we are generated with our research groups. I think that this is something that should be an impressive figure. Of course, later on, we can use other indicators as the effective market that has been addressed, but this depends also in other operational and business excellence performance. Second, being a little bit on the same line as Benoît, I think that proactivity from our side and empathy from our side is also important, because I think that we have to convince our society, our governments, our institutions that we can really contribute and we can make a very good job. And perhaps finally, on top of all the comments you have made, I think that we should also ask for simplification in bureaucracy. I think that this is something that our entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs in our universities will appreciate. Well, it's nothing new. It's something that we already know. It works in other ecosystems that are super efficient, like not only in the US, but also in Israel, for instance, or in Singapore. So, I mean, for not mentioning constantly the US, okay, or in Switzerland, sorry, in Switzerland. So I think that we should conclude on something like that, and to make these recommendations to our to work on our side with proactivity and empathy, but also asking some further collaboration from our institutions. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. I couldn't agree more, especially coming from France that is known for being champion of bureaucracy. And these are definitely the recommendations, again, that we have included in these reports that we have concluded during the last year. And we will work on these recommendations, trying to find solutions and proposals of solutions in the future. And that's why it will be extremely important for all the alliances to work together to find these solutions. So thank you again, everybody, for your points. Maybe somebody from the public would like to say something. Nobody speaks at the moment.
You've done a good job, Ines. Thank you.
So just some closing remarks. So we just had 5 different insights into cooperation between the academia and the society and business. And thank you again for sharing this experience. This just doesn't show only that we work on for the same objective, but also that we have the same issues, the same recommendations must be drafted. And but also we have these good examples. That is a starting point. It means that we have already some basics that we have to build on. It was definitely a very good opportunity to meet other colleagues from the other 2 European alliances, and we really hope to have more cooperation in the future. And unfortunately, that we are not able to meet in person and create a closer network, but I hope that it will be possible to do so in the near future. So feedback from the discussion and also the presentation. So the meeting was recorded. We will develop also a write-up about the main conclusions and discussion points, and we will share these documents with you as soon as they are finalized. And also we will share the presentations if there are no one of the presenters that is against sharing the presentation. So if you don't like to share the presentations with others, just let us know, and we won't include the presentation in the final email. And so lastly, just let's try to keep in touch, to discuss together about these issues and go beyond the starting point that we have already elaborated. So thank you everybody for participation. So if the meeting hadn't started 15 minutes late, we would be exactly on time. So thank you everybody for being here with us, and I really hope to see you soon. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks.